September has come and gone, and with it we got the release of some really great games on Android. Some ports, some mobile originals, all excellent. And to start, we're looking at one of the best tactical RPG series to come out in years, Banner Saga 2. The first Banner Saga was an excellent remix on classical tactical RPG gameplay, mixed with a story of survival and Nordic influence that made it a unique and memorable game. And 2 has done an excellent job of not only continuing the level of quality, but even improved upon it, especially in the story department. It picks up right where the first one left off, and those of you with save files from the first game can continue your particular version of events. Or you can start a brand new game with one very important decision to make from the first, that heavily impacts 2's story right out of the gate. While made for PC originally, the game's tactics system and controls port perfectly to phone or tablet touchscreen interfaces. It should go without saying that you should play the original game first, but if you just want to jump into this one right away, it does have a handy summary that at least gets the job done of catching you up on events. Fellow tactics fans, do yourself a favor, don't pass this one up. Second up is The Legend of the Skyfish. Now, I've seen a lot of people talk about this game in comparison to Legend of Zelda, which is kind of fair. It definitely draws a lot of inspiration and influence from the series, but it's more of a distillation of a few core parts than trying to be the same kind of game. Legend of the Skyfish has you navigate through linear levels as you defeat enemies, shove statues, step on pressure plates, avoid traps, and most importantly, platforming your way through levels with a fishing rod, the game's equivalent of the hookshot. Its art style is charming while maybe a bit simple. I'm still worried about the character's lack of arms, and its plot is bare bones but enough to hold it all together. Word of warning, the first world and few levels are incredibly simple, enough so that you might leave this game before giving it a proper chance, and while it never gets extremely difficult, it definitely gets interesting enough to warrant giving it a shot. Don't go into this one looking for a Zelda clone, accept it for what it is right at the gate, and you will have a lot of fun with it. Now, speaking of games with charming art, one of the weirder recommendations this month is Burly Men at Sea. This is an oddly very relaxing game to pick up and play for short sessions. It's an adventure game, but a very, very simple one, pretty much amounting purely to just making decisions that branch out a linear story, with a single playthrough only taking 10 to 15 minutes. At the end of each playthrough, the particular mini-story you just completed is cataloged as a new book on a shelf, and you'll eventually fill it up across many playthroughs. While you could power through the entire game in a single evening, it's really not meant for that. It works out a lot better as something that you dive into just every now and then when you have some time to kill, doing a different series of choices each time. A nice little way to just relax and have a bit of a distraction when you need one. It also helps that the game's presentation all around is excellent and oh so charming. Not just the art, but all of the sound design, with a nice soundtrack and sound effects that are all just a guy making noises into a mic, which works out so much better than you would think. This is definitely a game for you more artsy gamers out there, worth playing for its simple but charming tales you can play bit by bit. Now, from a charming adventure game, we move on to something creepier and much more twisted, Vaultboy. This is a classic point-and-click adventure game putting players in situations that they need to solve with whatever's around them. While the formula may be familiar, Vaultboy's art and story are far from anything normal. It's surprisingly really dark and messed up at times, something that may turn some of you off from it, but it's what makes the game stand out. And it's not just the twisted world the game takes place in that sets it apart, it's also the main character's uniqueness that makes how you solve some puzzles and navigate your way different from what you might be accustomed to in most point-and-clicks. Fans of old-fashioned point-and-click adventure games will find this easily worth playing, but it's also an easy enough introduction to the genre for those of you that usually don't care for it but love this game's insane tone. Last but not least is the fourth and final game in one of my favorite franchises to make its home on mobile, Steve Jackson's Sorcery 4. Based on old-school choose-your-own-adventure stories, the Sorcery series has mixed basic RPG mechanics and combat with storytelling and survival mechanics for an incredible series that classic RPG fans can enjoy. All 4 games compose one full story start to finish, and the final game has built upon all of them with excellent unique visuals and a worthwhile finish to its classic swords and sorcery style plot. Getting through the game on your first try is possible, but not very likely, and the number of things that can go down differently based on decisions you make gives gives each of the games fantastic amounts of replayability. Plus, if you've been making your way through all of them, you can import your saves to carry over all your progress. 4 makes an excellent finish to the series, but it is definitely not newcomer friendly. So if this is something you've missed out on and want to check it out, you have got to start on the first one, and trust me, it's completely worth grabbing all 4.